When you're multiplying binomials, this is very similar to when we're multiplying or just expanding a normal monomial or term with a binomial. What we have to look at is we want to take each part of the binomial, so a binomial being two terms, and we're going to multiply it into that second bracket. If we were to consider something like, if we just had this, if we just had 4 times all of that, or if we just had 2x times that, we would just multiply this value in, and then we would be done. But with the binomial, what we need to do is multiply this value in here, and then multiply this value in here. Okay, so when we're working through this, we're going to do the 2x first. And now sometimes you can do the things all in your head, but for this, I'm going to expand it all out and show you all of the steps. So the first thing I'm going to do is 2x times 3x, and we're going to get 2 times 3 is 6, and x times x is x squared. Then we're going to do 2x times 1, which is just going to give me 2x. Then I'm going to do the 4. Now it's going to be 4 times 3x, which is going to give me 12x. And 4 times 1 is going to give me 4. And then I need to collect like terms because I have 2 x terms in the middle here. So that's going to give me 6x squared plus 14x plus 4. We've expanded and then we simplify. Looking at the second equation, or excuse me, question, we've got the exact same thing, just actually easier terms because we just have x plus 1 and x plus 2 rather than a value in front of our x's. So first we're going to have x times x. It's going to give me x squared. Then x times 2 is going to be 2x plus, and then now we're using the 1. We've done the x. So we're going to have plus x plus 2. So first we did x times x, and then we did x times 2. Then we did 1 times x, and then 1 times 2. And now we need to collect like terms. So we're going to get x squared plus 3x plus 2. Now, when we're looking at this, a way we can remember how to do this is by remembering the word FOIL. So FOIL would be is if I had something like this. If I had a plus b times c plus d. Okay, now they can be any variable and it can be minuses. It doesn't actually matter. But the first thing we're going to do is first times the first. Okay, so we're going to multiply the 2 first values. And that's going to be a times c. So let's write it like this, ac. Then we're going to do the outer. Okay, so we're looking at the 2 outside values. This is first times first. That's 1. That's the first part, f. We should write that as f, not 1. That's first times the first. The next one's going to be the outer values, the 2 outside values. That's going to be plus a times d. That one there is going to be an O. Then we have the inner. So the 2 inner values, b times c. So that one is inner. And then finally, you have to finish with the last times the last. Oh, we're doing circles. So then that's going to be b times d. First, outer, inner, last. FOIL. Okay, so the first times the first, the outer times the outer, the inner times the inner, and the last times the last. And for what we're doing, oftentimes, these terms you will be able to simplify. It doesn't always happen, but if you look at the first 2 examples, we could add those 2 terms together to create one term. So if we look at this one, we now have variables in both cases. We're going to do our FOIL. We're going to go first times the first. 3a times a. It's going to give me 3a squared. Then we're going to do outer. 3a times negative 4b. Okay, well, 3 times 4 is 12. A positive and a negative is going to give me negative. And then we just have ab. Next is going to be inner. B times a. Well, that's going to be plus ab. You could write plus ba, but typically you want to write it alphabetically. And then finally, we've got minus, a positive and a negative is negative, 4b squared. Now again, these two middle terms are going to simplify. So we're going to have 3a squared, negative 12 plus 1 is negative 11, ab minus 4b squared. Now, if I have a number in front, there's a few different ways I could do this. I could multiply that 3 into the first bracket and have 6x minus 3 and then multiply that whole thing by the second binomial. Or I could multiply the 3 into the second bracket and have 3x minus 12 and multiply that into the first. Typically what I've found is that if you work through this first and then multiply the 3 in at the end, you're more likely to get the right answer. Because oftentimes students want to multiply that 3 in, and then they either remove the brackets and forget to multiply the entire bracket by the second binomial, or sometimes they multiply the 3 into both brackets, which you can't do. So the way I'm going to show it is I'm going to multiply the 3 in at the end by multiplying the binomials first. So in that case, I'm going to leave the 3 there. I'm going to put a bracket, and then I'm going to FOIL my two binomials, or my two other brackets. So 2x times x is first times the first, so we get 2x squared, minus 8x, that's the outer, minus x is the inner, plus 4 is the last. Then I'm going to have 3, and then this is going to be 2x squared, minus 9x plus 4. I've just simplified that. And then finally, we're going to get 6x squared minus 27x plus 12. And I've multiplied my 3 in. And that's why I wait until the end. It just allows me to multiply that 3 in one time without making a mistake, without forgetting to keep any brackets. Looking at this last question, we've kind of got that same concept that we just looked at, and then we're subtracting another binomial times a binomial from it. So I'm going to work through this slowly in a bunch of steps. I'm going to kind of consider this part of the question and this part of the question separately, and then I'm going to put them all together. So first, we've got 2, and I'm going to have 3y times y. I'm going to do first, outer, inner, last. Okay, remember that concept. So we get 3y squared minus 3y plus 2y minus 2. Now I'm going to put my minus sign and I'm going to expand that second bracket because that second bracket really has no impact on what I'm doing here. So we're going to get minus, and I've put brackets, and those brackets are important because this minus sign is going to change every sign in that bracket. So we're going to have minus 2y squared plus y minus 4y minus 2. All right, let's simplify a little more. So we're going to keep that 2 in front. We get 3y squared minus y minus 2 minus 2y squared minus 3y minus 2. Now in this next line, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to put in this 2. Oh, that's very light. I'm going to put in this 2 to every term here. And I'm also going to put this negative onto each of these terms. So that negative sign is going to go into this bracket. So when we're done, we're going to have 6y squared minus 2y minus 4. And now that minus sign is going to change all of the signs within that bracket. Minus 2y squared plus a negative and a negative is a positive, 3y plus 2. And now what I have to do is collect like terms. So we're going to have 6y squared and negative 2y squared. It's going to give me 4y squared. Then I've got 2y and 3y, or sorry, negative 2y. So that's going to be plus y. And then I've got negative 4 and 2. It's going to give me negative 2. And there's my final answer. You'll notice when I was going through that, I was underlining or boxing or putting a squiggly line under like terms. When you get big polynomials like this, sometimes it's easier to find your like terms, to collect like terms if you do something like that. You can circle, or you can highlight, or you can underline and square and box and everything that I've done here. Just make sure when you're collecting like terms, you're careful to only put like terms together and not